Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
Tensions are quickly rising all over the Muslim world over newly installed security measures at the Temple Mount following a shooting attack earlier this month that left 2 Israeli police officers dead. Last night, a 17-year-old Jordanian attacked a guard at the Israeli embassy in Jordan. Reportedly, Mohammed Jawada had been hired to carry out some carpentry work in the embassy building, but when he entered, he stabbed an Israeli guard with a screwdriver. Jawada's father is calling him a martyr for Allah after he was shot dead by security forces. The guard is the deputy director of security at the embassy and he's being treated in a Jordanian hospital, but the story doesn't end there. He's now being held by Jordanian officials for questioning in the ongoing investigation. The Israeli Foreign Ministry points out that he has diplomatic immunity and should then be free to leave, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been in contact with both the guard and the head of the embassy to keep tabs on the matter. Jordanian forces surrounded the embassy following the attack using tear gas to disperse rioters who had gathered. This is not the only place where Temple Mount tensions have led to violence. On Thursday, members of a Turkish fascist group with ties to Turkish President Erdogan attacked a synagogue in Istanbul, throwing rocks at its windows and threatening to put the synagogue under siege. In response, Israel has closed all embassies and consulates in Turkey. The rioting and terrorism over metal detectors at entrances to the Temple Mount continues to rage on, prompting Israeli ministers to hold an emergency meeting overnight over whether or not to remove them. The Security Cabinet spent over 6 hours into Monday morning trying to figure out a viable alternative to the detectors, only to come up short. They set out to reconvene at 2 p.m. to continue the discussions. The metal detectors were installed in the first place as a response to the terror attack on the Temple Mount 2 weekends ago. But Palestinian and Jordanian Waqf officials are crying foul, saying Israel is trying to take control of the mount and change the fragile status quo. Israeli officials strongly deny such allegations. Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan said of the 8 Muslim-only entryways to the mount that, quote, "We need different security measures and means for checking those entering there," end quote. He then also restated that the metal detectors would be happily removed if an alternative is found, but that he was still unaware of such a program. The Arab League is now also getting ready to hold an emergency meeting of their own over the crisis at Jerusalem's Temple Mount. The meeting is currently set for Thursday and was called for by Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi. Safadi tweeted that he had discussed the issue with the foreign ministers of Norway, Germany, France, and Sweden. He then called for the metal detectors at the Temple Mount to be removed, as well as the historic status quo respected, in order to restore calm to Al-Aqsa. Most of the Muslim world claims to see added security measures as a threat. The Arab League yesterday accused Israel of, quote, "playing with fire," and that Jerusalem is a red line that no Arab or Muslim will accept violations of. Israel has denied any allegations of underhandedness or attempts to change the status quo on the Mount, insisting that the detectors are necessary to prevent any future arms from being smuggled onto the site. In the wake of the tragic terror attack in HALAMISH where 3 people were stabbed to death in their own home, HALAMISH security and IDF officials are slinging blame on each other. The terrorist, Omar al-Abed, climbed over the HALAMISH settlement's fence, armed with a butcher's knife and wearing a white shirt to blend in with the Jewish crowd on the Sabbath. The fence is equipped with motion sensors which did go off, but the IDF accuses settlement security of being too slow to respond, possibly missing Abed by just a moment. Additionally, the security protocol is to inform the IDF of any possible breaches to security, which the settlement failed to do, thinking the alarm was just tripped by an animal as is known to happen. But the security coordinator for the settlement, Victor Vaknin, is firing back, saying they did everything they could have done. He claims the security responded promptly, but found nothing. More importantly, Vaknin says the portion of fence where the terrorist entered was a weak point that he had asked the IDF to help deal with months ago. It's up against a forest and is even the same location that in November, 3 Palestinian men allegedly started a fire that destroyed and damaged over 40 homes. Last night, the toll of injuries and deaths during Palestinian riots spiked again as more than 24 Palestinians were wounded in Jerusalem and the West Bank. The riots are a continued response to metal detectors being installed at the Temple Mount entrances, something considered by them to be a great injustice. In Bethlehem, Palestinians even set fire to mock metal detectors. The latest group of injuries follows hundreds more since the riots began, as well as 5 deaths just over the weekend. Palestinian and Jordanian Waqf officials are asking Muslims to boycott the Temple Mount and instead pray outside the compound. Thousands have answered the call and have been regularly concluding prayers with riots. Police have been mostly responding with stun grenades and other riot control measures, but occasionally live fire has been used as well.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.